guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the Daily Show. We give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on planet Earth, coming to you from right here at the Collider Video Studios here in Burbank, California. And with that grin, Ashley, you'd think she just got back from Happy Head.
Also here, Jeremy
What?
Jahns. What?
Is it going to be? That was a joke that you all missed before the show, friends. You can figure out what it means. Maybe you won't, but either way, you're going to laugh.
Also here, Kenny Napzok.
Hey, everybody. The opening of the show is already more entertaining than Fantastic Beasts. Glad to be here.
Oh. That's our Kenny.
Also here, Marc Ellis. Marc, tell us about Happy Head.
I will tell you about how happy my head was when I was at the La Jolla Comedy Store this weekend. Thanks to all the Collider fans that came out and saw me. And yeah, happy head. Smile.
Just for the record, I thought Fantastic Beasts was pretty good. But we can debate that on another show, I'm sure. All right, what we got going on this week?
StarWars.com announced Friday that the mother of dragons herself, Emilia Clarke, has joined the cast of the young Han Solo movie in an unknown role. She joins Alden Ehrenreich's Han Solo and Donald Glover's Lando Calrissian in the Phil Lord and Chris Miller directed standalone that will include the character of Chewbacca. The movie is scheduled to hit theaters on May 25th, 2018. Clarke joining the young Han Solo movie.
I'm a little bit torn. I am a little bit torn on this. On one hand, hey, never a bad idea to add talent. I love Emilia Clarke's work in Game of Thrones, absolutely. And I'm really dying to see her being able to break out just from the TV thing. You're gonna have we got some people walking on our roof because they're fixing a hole in our roof right now.
It's Santa Claus. He's practicing.
He's early.
Getting his
Santa
reps
is
in.
early. But I'm gonna say this too, and this might make me a little bit unpopular. I have not been amazed with Emilia Clarke outside of Game of Thrones yet. And I know there are Game of Thrones fans all over the world screaming at me right now. Granted, she hasn't been in movies with the best source material or the best scripts to start with. Yeah, so that's why we're not going to hold it against her all too much. So I'm intrigued by her being in this. I thought this was a splash of announcement. I think that's great. I think because of how much I like her in Game of Thrones, I'm still intrigued by it, but I'm not jumping over the moon about it like some friends of mine are, simply because I have yet to be really impressed by her outside of that Game of Thrones box that she's in right now. Maybe this will be the one to break her out of it. I don't know, Kenny, what do you think?
Look, I am the world's biggest Sir Jorah Mormont fan. I love Game of Thrones. She is my Khaleesi. But I agree with you. She's kind of a popcorn movie actress. And hey, this is a popcorn movie. We're putting a big role. The problem I have, and what's tempering my excitement, is they had announced that this particular lead role might go to Tessa Thompson or Naomi Scott or Zoe Kravitz, and they were going to try to bring some diversity, and they went this direction. I've been arguing all weekend that it's a different role, and that Saint Astaros is still going to show up in the movie, and some of the reports are showing that maybe it's not the case, and I'm a little worried about that. You don't go out and announce that we're going to make this cool, diverse choice and then bring in another white British woman, and I think a lot of people are upset at that, understandably, if that's what they did. Lucasfilm did this weird, we're going to go to this direction we've always gone to. That worries me a little bit, too, that the cast could have been a little bit more dynamic. Is she a big game talent, John? Yes, she is, and she's going to bring a lot of fandoms together, and it's the same kind of nerd base, so that excites me. But yeah, I agree with you. We'll see if she's not yelling about dragons. She hasn't really brought me in.
Jeremy.
Yeah, I mean, Terminator Genesis, I don't think anyone was safe from the train wreck of that monstrosity. So I almost want to give her a pass on that. Like, there is literally no way anyone could have made that all right. I do think she is a different role. I mean, I'm actually surprised that there have only been 2 females announced that, like, we're casting this person and that person. This is Han Solo. This is the most charming pirate in a galaxy far, far away. I think there's going to be 28 females cast in this movie because he's Han Solo, and that's just going to be his world. I am looking forward to it. I don't know how big. I mean, how many times, like Max von Sydow was announced for The Force Awakens. I was like, oh my gosh, it gets wiped out in the beginning. Spoiler alert. So she could be just the smallest role ever. I don't know. And they could be puffing it up because it's Emilia Clarke, who is Daenerys in Game of Thrones, like you said, same nerd base. So we don't even know how big the role is going to be.
Actually, Wendy, let me ask you this question because you might know off the top of your head. What was the name of the movie again she was in with Finnick? With Finnick Odair?
Me Before You.
Me Before You, yeah. Right. That was one that I thought, this could really show her. Oh, not so much. I don't know. Well, anyway, Mark, what do you think about all this?
I think those dragons are going to be pissed off when they hear about Harrison Ford's affair with Carrie Fisher, so look out, dog. I mean, look, I'm with Kenny on this one, where when you hear about the potentials for this, you get excited about diversity in the Star Wars universe. Particularly Tessa Thompson was somebody that I had my eye on for a galaxy far, far away. But Emilia Clarke, I'm not going to complain too much about it because, like you guys, I'm excited just because she's so good and captivating in Game of Thrones that I will give her a pass on Terminator Jenny Smith, because you also see that movie, and it's like J.K. Simmons, that guy's won an Oscar, and you see that movie, and it's like, I don't think he deserves an Oscar for that. So I will give her the break. She has the benefit of the doubt in my mind, but I am a little disappointed that it's another white British woman instead of somebody else that we could have seen.
Oh, yeah, let me ask you this question. Do you think that they are the same role, or do you think they're different roles?
No, I think they're
not.
different roles.
Yeah, right.
I hope they're different. No, because Sana Staros is a woman of color in the canon comics.
Yeah.
So if they were to change that role on this big, that'd be a big failure.
Right. No,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's different roles.
Yeah.
I think you're still going to see a Tessa Thompson show up in this film. It just might have been the order of they announced it, and a lot of people are assuming it's the same role, but we're hearing reports that it was.
And it's the same thing with Force Awakens initially, too, because remember, when they were announcing the cast for Force Awakens, we're like, where are all the females in this movie? And then they started to show up and pop you. Then obviously Rey had such a dynamic role in that film that we're all cool with it. So hopefully it's the same kind of thing with this casting.
And just a little bit of trivia. Me Before You is also the name of the massage parlor right beside Happy Head. So there you go. There's a connection. All right, what's next?
THR has confirmed that John Wick co-director David Leitch will indeed helm Deadpool 2. The report claims that Leitch beat out Snow White and the Huntsman's Rupert Sanders, Cabin in the Woods' Drew Goddard, and Banshee director Magnus Martins, who were on the to-meet list for Fox. However, after Leitch met with Reynolds in New York, he got the offer soon after. THR also reports that Fox and the producers are currently looking for another director to helm Deadpool 3, but no names have been mentioned at this time. Ken, what do you think about John Wick's David Leitch directing Deadpool 2?
It's interesting. It's intriguing. It's kind of I don't want to say up-and-coming director, because no one had this guy on a list of up-and-coming directors, I don't think. But what I like about it is he's got this stunt background. He also wrote in 2009, he didn't direct, he appeared in this thing called The Confessions of an Action Star. I've been reading all about it this morning doing my research. It is definitely what Deadpool kind of did in the first one. I know there might be a tone shift in the second one, but if he can kind of bring that kind of action comedy, able to poke fun at yourself vibe, and it works well with Reynolds. I'd love to hear the true story about Miller and Reynolds. Is it Cable? Is it this? Did they fight in post last time? I love those kind of things. Did Reynolds then find someone who he can then kind of be above and say, let me bring you up to the next level and you listen to me, versus a power struggle? That's interesting to me.
And Ken, we talk about all the time with baseball, who's a five-tool athlete. This guy's a five-tool director, because not only is he great at doing action and comedy, putting a little bit of drama in there, he can actually step inside the Deadpool costume, and he can pull off all the stunts. You're saving money by hiring this dude. But when you watch John Wick, yes, it's heavy on the action, but there's little comedic moments in there that made me laugh out loud in the theater on purpose. That's what you want with a Deadpool 2. It's been rumored this guy's been the lead horse for a while. I'm happy to see it come to fruition here.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm glad that you both touched on the fact that he did content with comedy before, because I was like, all right, so John Wick, great action film. I love it. It's great. It's fun. But I don't know his comedic chops. I don't know what he's done in the world of comedy. Now that I know he has done it, this is a great choice. I mean, I love John Wick. The action's going to be locked down, and I really hope all of this the behind the scenes stuff gives Deadpool 2 content to riff on, because Deadpool
They have to.
Right,
They
Deadpool
have
comes
to,
down and be
right?
like, well, we finally got a director locked down, so that was good. You know, I mean, I just every trip and every step that Deadpool 2 is having, I just see content for Deadpool 2 having in the film.
Here's my prediction for the opening credit scene. It says directed by, then it says the same guy as the first one, and then it's crossed out with a marker, and then you
the
put in
next
some
one.
other douchebag or whatever, however they're going to do it.
I think Tim has to do a cameo in Deadpool 2. I mean, I think that would just be delicious if he did. Look, as far as this director choice goes, it's brilliant. Nothing short of brilliant. Why? Because you still have the main creative force behind Deadpool, that's Ryan Reynolds. You still have the two writers that he went out and hired in the first place, who wrote the first Deadpool, also writing the second Deadpool. So you're going to have all of that flavor still there, but now on top of that, you're bringing this guy who crafted a visual story. Now, we think of John Wick just in terms of good popcorn, gun, and it certainly was that, and it was awesome on that level. But they crafted a visual story with John Wick. They made me feel emotion in certain places in John Wick, just with the action and the way he just crafted that movie together. You now take those sensibilities, put them in a Deadpool movie with Ryan Reynolds still as your producer and those two other guys still writing the main script. honestly, I think this is an incredible formula. I think this could be even better than the first Deadpool. Not that Tim Miller didn't do an amazing job. Obviously, he did an amazing job. We wouldn't be getting a Deadpool 2 if it weren't for Deadpool 1. But I think this guy can work with that group of people and maybe elevate it to the next level. So personally, I think this is an outstanding choice.
And let's go to Men's Warehouse for a minute and put on our business suits because this guy can make a movie that has kick-ass action on a budget. This is not going to cost $150 million to do.
True.
He knows how to put something visually stunning on screen and save money. As long as he doesn't kill any puppies in the first act of Deadpool 2, I'm good.
Yeah, he's also a world builder. John Wick 1 felt like a comic book movie, like a hotel that has a bunch of hitmen that come together, but it's a safe place. And they don't fight. There is nothing more comic book than that. So he's already done a comic book movie.
I am still totally up for a Continental spin-off movie, by the way.
What if Deadpool goes to the Continental? I know it's
a shared universe.
I'm sorry I put that in everybody's head, but it would be pretty
shared Wick Deadpool universe.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Oh, what if Deadpool becomes Wick's next contract? That's the movie I want to see. Okay,
We're building pearls here,
You
folks.
got go picture, kid. Go picture.
All right, what's next?
It's Monday, which means it's time for the weekend box office report brought to you by our friends at AMC Theaters. The wizarding world of Harry Potter is alive and well as the spin-off Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them debuted with $75 million for an easy #1 spot at the box office. Doctor Strange took the #2 spot with $17.67 million, just beating DreamWorks' Trolls, which took the #3 spot with $17.5 million. Arrival landed in the #4 spot with $11.8 million, while Almost Christmas took the #5 spot with $7 million. Mark, thoughts on the weekend box office?
Fantastic Beasts did exactly what I expected it to do, despite Ken Napzok's feelings on the film and my indifference towards it. I think $75 million is an appropriate number for a movie that takes place in a gigantic universe, but is an unknown property in and of itself to this point. What surprises me is that it took a week longer than we expected for Doctor Strange to have that typical comic book movie drop, where it finally dropped almost 60% because it held pretty strongly from its first week to its second week. I'm happy that Arrival's hanging in there too. I want to see Arrival keep doing this kind of business for a few more weeks because it's about to make its budget back just here domestically, and it's a movie that should be seen because it's a great conversation piece.
Yeah, I feel like I might have thought Fantastic Beast would have done a little bit more than it did, which is funny because we're actually at a point where we're like, 75 million, it's not that much, but I mean, it is a large amount of money.
That's Pitch Perfect 2 numbers,
right?
Come on.
But what really, it's not surprising to me, but it is disappointing to me that Edge of 17 was nowhere on the top 5, and Almost Christmas made $7 million, which means it made less than that. I don't actually know how much it made, but it is a bit disappointing because it was such a sweet movie that I feel like got buried under the huff and puff of Hufflepuff. And just everything's, all the big movies, the CGI. And, I like seeing such a movie like that kind of breaks bounds and is that next generation coming of age story to get a little bit more love. So you should totally go see Edge of 17, folks.
Yeah, I think Fantastic Beasts kind of fit right in where you can expect it to fit in at this point. The real opening weekend box office number that I think Warner Brothers is concerned about when it comes to Fantastic Beasts was not the opening weekend box office of this movie. They're concerned about the opening weekend box office of the next movie. That's where really they're going to have their litmus test about how well they did. Did they recapture the Harry Potter fans? You're not going to know that until the next film comes out. Personally, I did enjoy them. I'm not a Potterhead. I enjoyed the last 4 Harry Potter movies. I wasn't all that big on the first 3. I know a lot of people think the third one is the best one of the series. Didn't quite work for me as well. But as somebody who's not a Potterhead, I was really pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed that film. I had a good time with it. I thought it was charming. And it kind of did the numbers that it was meant to do. But once again, the litmus test is going to be when the second film comes out. That's when we're really going to see, did the Potter universe get back on board with this franchise or not? So we're going to have to wait a couple years to see that. I am also very discouraged, unfortunately, but not surprised by the results of Edge of 17. I said on my social media the other day, it's still early. Things could change because there's a lot of great movies still to come between now and December 31st. But as of right now, I'm having a hard time imagining that The Edge of 17 doesn't end up on my top 10 films of the year list. I loved this movie. I thought it was beautifully crafted. It's funny, it's engaging, it's emotional at the same time, and you believe the characters. Like, you believe the characters. If you haven't seen The Edge of 17 yet, and 99% chances you haven't seen it yet, go out and see it because you will treat yourself. So check that one out. So I was disappointed that it didn't do a little bit better than. I mean, it's only had a $9 million budget and made almost $5 million in its opening weekend. And Doctor Strange, dear heavens, it's only a sneeze away from 600 million worldwide already. So they're pretty happy about that over there. Anyway, Kenny, what do you think?
I'm not a Potterhead either, though I have waited in line for butterbeer, and my Patronus is a Gamorrean guard. But I'll tell you this. This is why studios do these big franchises, and they keep bringing stuff back, and they're going to build more and prequels and lore and everything, because the movie did good. And I know I'm not the only one who didn't like the movie, and you're not the only one who did like the movie. It's kind of a split decision, and I think you're right. Did it bring back the Potterhead fans? I went with one who, at the end of the movie, was screaming at the screen going, I can't believe that's horrible. I'm out. So
wow.
Some people, I mean, and I know you and Ellis and I are on the same page, but again, this is why you as a studio executive go picture to a big franchise because it's going to make you money.
Here's my question, is what is going to be the drop-off from week 1 to week 2? Because I think that's the big litmus test. Before the second Fantastic Beast comes out, is let's see what it does in this family-heavy weekend of Thanksgiving coming up when it does have to go up against Disney's Moana. Now, usually you would think, okay, that's going to be a littler kid is going to want to go see Moana versus maybe the teenagers who want to go see Fantastic Beasts. The Rock is doing a voice in Moana, and that's going to draw a lot of people in. So Beast has some competition in Thanksgiving. And as far as the Edge of 17 goes, I would just caution people to remember that it only opened on 1,500 screens. So you hope that it has a hell or high water kind of vibe where as we get closer to Oscar season, the Edge of 17 can get mentioned in those conversations and it can hang around the theaters for a little bit.
Wendy, you had a chance. You actually watched Fantastic Beasts with us. And I know you're a major Potterhead. What did you think of Fantastic Beasts?
I liked it a lot. I was really happy to go back to the Wizarding World, and I also kind of like seeing how Newt interacted with the No-Maj. So it's something a little bit different, and the best part of the film for me was seeing all the Fantastic Beasts. That was probably my favorite part of the film, and I think in their spoiler reviews, I gave it a 7.5, just because of some pacing issues. And,
it does have some pacing issues.
Yeah, and some Grindelwald issue that personally I had some issues with, but that's about it.
Although I will say, you bring up an interesting point. We got a pretty good head-to-head confrontation coming with Fantastic Beasts and Moana, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I won't go into detail. Moana's better. I like Fantastic Beasts. Moana is a special little film, but I'm sure we'll talk about that on a forthcoming episode of Movie Talk. All right, we've reached that part of the show now for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Ashley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then those of us at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Ashley, what do we got?
Variety reports that commercial director Simon McQuoid is in talks to helm the Mortal Kombat reboot for New Line. James Wan is producing the movie with Greg Russo penning the most recent draft. McQuoid is an Australian filmmaker and one of the most in-demand commercial directors in the business, working on high-profile campaigns for PlayStation, Halo, and other top brands. A release date for the reboot has not been set. Jeremy Byersell, Simon McQuoid directing a Mortal Kombat reboot.
I love that you went right to me for the Mortal Kombat question. I just love that. Yeah, I mean, I'll buy. I have heard about a Mortal Kombat reboot for about 15 years. So whether or not this is going to be the story that goes through to production and the film we end up getting, I have no idea about that. In fact, I might actually doubt it. But him being a commercial director, I remember one of the coolest video game commercials I ever saw was for Mortal Kombat 2 when it came out on home consoles. It is the coolest commercial. I remember, like, Scorpion comes out of the sand. So Mortal Kombat has that commercial vibe to it. So I feel like it is a good fit. I mean, just keep it in the pocket, man. Keep it fun. Keep it badass. And, I mean, come on, let's make it rated R. And I think we can have ourselves a really cool video game movie because it's not inflated with content. You know, you don't have to grind through about 78 hours of RPG content that you have to condense into an hour and a half or 2 hours. So it being a fighting game, I feel like this was, man, I'm really reneging on all those times I said I'm no longer looking forward to video game movies. I'm just saying, like, I am actually full of shit. Now you know, but I buy it.
Kenny.
I was there in the theater, kids, in 1995, and I enjoyed the hell out of Mortal Kombat, the movie.
Right.
Jeremy Friendship. We'll give that to you for Mortal Kombat 2, the game.
Nice.
But I'm going to sell this. I'm going to sell this simply because you're right. There's been so many times that this is thought about being rebooted, and I have no problem with a director who's unknown, a commercial director. Check out his Duracell Rogue One commercial that's going out now. It's great. It's got this group of kids delivering a toy R2 to a girl in the hospital. That's his. It's great. John Watts doing the SpiderMan movie. He's a commercial director. A lot of guys come from that realm, and they're very visual and wonderful storytellers in that way. So I can maybe lean towards buy, but I'm going to sell and then just have this prove it to me later that this works.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I sell this. This is The Crow. This Mortal Kombat is the Crow, the video game movie. That we've heard about this so many flippin' times. How many times since Movie Talk has been around? We must have covered at least 3 or 4 different, reoccurrences of the story. Oh, now Mortal Kombat Reboot is back on. No, now it's back on. No, now I simply don't believe it anymore. I don't believe it. I'm not going to get sucked into it again. Once it goes into production, I'll start to think maybe it's legit. But even then, I'll only start. Because like I said, this is the Crow. This has been announced so many times. We had so many people come and go out of the alleged director's chair. Look, I'm not saying I'm not interested in another stab at a Mortal Kombat movie. I am. But I've just been burned too many times about getting my hopes up for this thing, and I'm not going to do it again. So until you show me something solid and legit, I'm going to sell it.
Now, I feel like we need to get the logistics of buy or sell down. So am I buying or selling the fact that I like that it's getting made, or buying or selling the fact that I think it's actually going to get made? Because
whatever you want, Jeremy.
Because I feel like, from what you just told me saying, yeah, it's probably not going to happen, and I'll buy it, is a complete conflict, and it doesn't fit. Is this how it works?
It's whatever you want, whatever your reasons for buying or selling the story are, completely your own.
John, I buy it.
All right, Mark.
2 negative Nancys here on the panel, and I'm happy to say, Mortal Kombat! Woo! I am happy about this news. I'm buying the hell out of it. I am right there with you, Jeremy. Let's do this. In the words of Mortal Kombat 2, toasty! I'm just excited because we get news about Mortal Kombat. James Wan's still producing the reboot. He's going to have a nice hand in making this movie. Like you all said, this guy comes from a background of video games, making commercials for video games. Now, that Duracell Rogue One commercial is probably going to have more story than a Mortal Kombat movie would, but we don't need a Mortal Kombat movie to have a great story. We just need to have a lot of ass-kicking action. I want it to feel like it did in 1995, the Oscar-winning film, the first Mortal Kombat, because it felt almost like March Madness. You had your brackets. You had, okay, who's Sub-Zero playing in the first round? Where's Scorpion going to be? Is Goro playing Art Lee first? Okay, cool. That's an easy win for him. I wanted to have that kind of setup, and if it does that, I am so ready to go back to Outworld, Jeremy.
Right. It's like it's Bloodsport with a supernatural twist.
Yeah.
If you're this jacked about Mortal Kombat, I cannot wait for the Tetris movie. I want to see what you say about that.
The Tetris movie, it's a little closer to my heart because I am the world's greatest Tetris player. I'm the best one that ever lived. So if they give me a nice nod, maybe a cameo in the movie, I'll be happy.
Now, the big question is, will we once again get a white, undersized, unathletic Frenchman to play Raiden?
Christopher Lambert. Who's y'all's favorite Mortal Kombat character to play as? I was always a Sub-Zero guy growing up.
Scorpion, dude.
Raiden.
Yeah, dude. He's the Spectre of Vengeance. He was the best.
Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
The Nut Crush.
Yeah, the actor?
That was a good one. Oh, man,
I like that. I like them pretty boys fighting.
Actor? All right, what's next?
According to a report from THR, World War Z director Marc Forster has come on board to direct Christopher Robin, Disney's live-action fantasy that centers on the human character from Winnie the Pooh. The story will center on an adult Robin, now a businessman, who prioritizes work over his family when Winnie the Pooh appears, needing help in finding his friends again. No release date has been set. John Byersall, Marc Forster directing a live-action Winnie the Pooh movie.
Absolutely huge buy. I don't know how well this will do financially. I actually think it's going to do better than a lot of people think, because I think there is a lot of attachment to the idea of a Winnie the Pooh. The idea of going back to an older Christopher Robin and Pooh comes back to him at that point, it reminds me a little bit of Hook in some ways, but Hook, but done by the guy who directed The Kite Runner and Finding Neverland. And it's funny because when I first heard about this project, before I heard the director's name attached, I remember thinking, this could have a really cool Finding Neverland kind of feel to it. And I absolutely freaking adore Finding Neverland. It's the last great Johnny Depp performance, was Finding Neverland. That's what he brought out. It's a terrific premise with a terrifically talented director. For me, it's a big buy. What do you think, Mark?
It's a buy simply because I get so excited when I hear Winnie the Pooh news too. It's not. I'm not going to yell like Mortal Kombat, but I love me some 100 Acre Wood adventure. I do have a little bit of apprehension because of the Hook storyline. It's like, do we have to involve an adult Christopher Robin this much? Winnie the Pooh just never struck me as the kind of bear that's going to go out of the 100 Acre Wood for help necessarily. You know, he sees me as the kind of guy who's like, he just sucks it up and just accepts that's his destiny, like an Eeyore would. But if Winnie the Pooh needs to come out of retirement to come find an adult Christopher Robin, what is going on in the 100 Acre Wood? There's like some evil crap going down.
Piglet's in trouble. What do you think, Kenny?
I hope there's a scene where like Pooh and Christopher Robin are like at a bar catching up. Pooh's got diabetes now because of all the honey he's got. I want to take this more like a Ted 3 vibe. I don't know, but I'm gonna buy it based on Forster's catalog of films. Funny enough, Stranger Than Fiction's kind of an underrated one with Will Ferrell and kind of got a fantasy element to it.
Great.
And I like that. When I first heard they're doing a live action Pooh, I rolled my eyes because here we go again. But it's a different take on it. Is it Hook 2? A little bit, but even that's got some merit in that story, and there's something intriguing about it, and he's got the pedigree to do it right.
What do you think, Jeremy?
I really thought of flipping a coin on this table to see, like, heads I buy it, tails I don't, tails I sell it. I love the potential of an adult Christopher Robin, and maybe he's become too adult. He's lost the fun because adults become adults. Not me, man. Those hot toys are on my shelves. They're displayed. I see them every night, and I think to myself, that's a man-child, and I go right to bed, and I catch some Z's like a baby. But adults become adults. They lose the fun, and it could be a good story of him finding his way back to me, like, yeah, that childhood innocence should never leave us. I love the potential of it. On the other hand, if they screw this up, they could screw it up hard. Everyone behind it aside, I don't want something like this to ruin that which we loved about Pooh and Christopher Robin being, the voice of innocence and like everything that we had in childhood. And I'm going to buy it because I'm an optimist and I see what they could do with it. But I need a trailer for this one, John. I need a trailer.
It could totally change. Like if they announced that this movie coming with acclaimed commercial director, insert name here, maybe not. But I agree with you, Kenny. It's the name that's attached to this to make me go, oh, okay, so this won't be cheap. This will be something that's really cool. So we'll see how that goes. All right, what's next?
The very first footage from Sony's Spider-Man Homecoming was unveiled to the lucky fans in attendance at Marvel's Hall H panel at San Diego Comic-Con this year. And now, according to comicbook.com, the first full-length trailer will be shown in theaters on Friday, December 16th, attached to Disney's Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. Sony did not respond to requests for comment, so this should be classified as a rumor for the time being. Mark Byers saw the first trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming appearing with Rogue One.
If I didn't buy it before, that image is going to make me buy it now. I would love to see Spider-Man pop into Rogue One for a second. I'd rather have Spider-Man make a cameo in Rogue One than Han Solo. That's a different story. I love this news because Rogue One is that big event movie. It's going to have a lot of trailers running in front of it in the theater. If you have your tickets to see Rogue One, and they're on sale now if you need them, you should get there early to get a good seat to make sure you can watch all the cool trailers they're going to be playing before Rogue One. Hopefully the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer is right after the Transformers trailer so we can get that taste out of our mouth going into the movie.
Look, here's the thing. The whole idea about this trailer is going to be attached to this movie now is almost irrelevant these days because that simply means that it's really going to drop online 3 or 4 or 5 days earlier than that. We're going to have already seen this Spider-Man trailer by the time this movie comes out. However, I'm going to buy this because when we go to these big tentpole movies, when you go to see Batman versus Superman, you're going to go see Star Wars Rogue One, you know that the studios and the theaters themselves want to pack the best big bombastic trailers in front of them as possible. And while I will have already seen the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer 40 or 50 times before I go in to watch Star Wars Rogue One in the theater with a regular audience, it's going to be pretty awesome seeing it on the big screen. And on that level alone, I'm going to buy it. Jeremy?
All right, first of all, that image is kind of cruel. There was a knee-jerk reaction. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so when I saw Spider-Man with the droid from, I saw this image, I was like, what? Oh, no. There was 0.068 seconds where I was like, no, totally no way. But I am buying it because, I mean, Disney has got to be the smartest empire since the empire that wiped away the Senate after they created a spherical death machine in the sky. They are the smartest empire because every 6 months they have a huge movie coming out and they have a trailer every 6 months for the movie coming out 6 months after that. It's like a self-sustaining wheel that just goes, and it's just, Disney is going to become self-aware, and hopefully the machines love us. But I love Spider-Man. I want to see this trailer. I agree with you. We're going to see it 78 times. But I remember when the Rogue One trailer hit online, it was online for months. And then it was on Civil War. And I remember seeing the Rogue One trailer on Civil War, and I was like, that is a different experience.
I'm right there with you. You and I saw that
totally
movie.
different.
We saw Mrs. Peregrine's together, and we're just like pinching ourselves. We've seen Rogue One a number of times. When you see it on a giant screen and surround sound, it does something different to you.
And I guess, look, this is First of all, we always got to throw it out to the graphics that Ray gets for us. This is incredible thing he put together. But I looked at this picture. The first thing I thought is this is Patton Oswalt's wet dream coming to life. I don't know, Kenny. What do you think?
I'm gonna buy it because it's a great business decision. Yeah, times have changed. I remember when we all bought our Meet Joe Black tickets to go see the Phantom Menace trailer for the first time. That's not what we're gonna have again. But yeah, it's fun to see it in the screen, and yeah, you can watch it on YouTube and go, yeah, okay, that's the thing. But I like it, and it's a smart business decision. It's just gonna keep rolling. You're right. It's a train. We all live in Walt's world.
Maybe we get the Transformers movie trailer, then we get the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer, then we get an Episode 8 trailer right before.
Oh,
telling you, man.
I'm maybe a little optimistic. All right, what's next?
Bad news for Stargate fans hoping to see its return to the big screen. A few years ago, when Roland Emmerich and producer Dean Devlin announced their plans to make Independence Day 2, the duo also revealed that they were working on a Stargate reboot. As recently as this summer, Devlin revealed that in order to enact a plan that would include a new trilogy, they were going to be starting over with a reboot of the first movie. But now that plan appears to be dead in the water. Speaking with Empire, Devlin said, "It looked good for a couple of months, but now it's not looking so good. There are just a lot of things that have to fire at the same time, and there was a moment where I thought it was all firing at the same time, and then it all kind of fell apart." Jeremy Byers-Sell, a reboot for Stargate ever happening based on Devlin's comments.
I love his comments where he's like, Independence Day Resurgence had nothing to do with this getting canned. I swear on my life. No, I mean, it's funny because a Stargate reboot wasn't even on my mind. I think it would be cool to see, but that team behind it, as long as they don't have a big, stupid alien that's 78 stories tall or do anything they did in Independence Day Resurgence, maybe it'd be all right. But I'm gonna
nothing that they did.
Yeah, just like anything you did with Independence Day Resurgence, just take that as the blueprints of no right there.
As they're walking through the Stargate, Judd Hirsch is like, it's not a good idea. don't try it.
Right.
Not cool.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna sell. Stargate has a couple of pacing issues, but for what it is, it's the fine Stargate movie that we have, so whatever.
You know what? I was on board with the idea of a new Stargate. I was a fan of the television series that they did with them. I like the original movie. I think the original movie and the story, the type of story that it is, makes it a prime candidate for a modern reboot. I think it would be really great. But I remember opening night of Independence Day Resurgence. About 15 of us.
Oh boy, we were excited.
Like about a good 15 of us all got together, walked across the street to the AMC Prime, and we walked in, and there was about 6 other people. And little did we know that those 6 other people was the harbinger of the devastation that was to come. And I'm not talking about the devastation the aliens invoke on the planet. I'm talking about the devastation that movie was going to reap upon careers. And one of the very first, we all walked out. I remember Sasha's reaction was priceless, going like, what the fuck? Like she was so, and that was all of us. And we should have guessed coming out of that. Yeah, that Stargate reboot?
Yeah.
That ain't never going to happen now. There's no way they're going to trust Roland at this point with this. That movie lost them so much money, and it lost them a lot of faith at the same time. And that's the big thing. I'm not surprised at all to hear that this is getting canceled. I do hope at some point, somewhere in the future, somebody takes a kick at it. But I just can't see it happening at this point. Kenny, what do you think?
I'm going to buy it in the sense that someone will someday go, let's print some money. Let's reboot something and do it. I like the first Stargate too because it made James Spader a sci-fi action star.
Yeah.
It actually is not bad. You're right, John. You said it there. It's got reboot potential. It's got a different a sequel potential. Yes, Independence Day 2 destroyed it. Maybe what's nice about it is that team that made Independence Day 2 and want to do this gets pushed aside, and maybe some young visionary filmmaker comes in and grabs this. That's why I'll buy that one day a Stargate reboot will happen.
Bring on the commercial directors, folks. Do that Stargate movie.
Mark, can this work?
Oh, it can certainly work, but you can't do it with a business model of a Devlin and Emmerich coming in and saying, oh, we need to reboot this and instantly make it a trilogy. Like, that's the problem I have with this business, is that they're not trying to make a great standalone movie anymore. They're trying to make it a huge blockbuster franchise that's going to sell a lot of toys and a lot of video games. Don't do that with Stargate. When you go see Stargate, it has its blockbuster elements for sure. It had Kurt Russell at his apex. You had a cool science fiction story, but it was telling something dramatic. There's not a whole lot of action in Stargate, to be honest with you. There's some cool science in there, but there's a lot of drama going on. That's the movie I want to see rebooted. I don't want to see all this other stuff. And to the TV show's credit, Stargate was so good as a TV show, it almost made us stop calling Richard Dean Anderson MacGyver.
Almost. All right, guys, listen, we do this show live, so what we like to do is save a little bit of time at the end of the show, take some of your live Twitter questions for those of you who are watching us live. How do you get a live Twitter question to us? Simple. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at Collider Video and start firing in some questions, and Wendy will pick a couple out at the end of the show. But before we get to all that, I want to remind you that Movie Talk is not the only show on Collider Video today. A little bit later today, the brand new episode of TV Talk drops. That's going to drop around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And also, we mentioned the Fantastic Beasts and Where You Find Them is now open in theaters. The crew did a full spoiler review of that movie. You can find that on the channel. And also, for you Walking Dead fans, a brand new episode of our Walking Dead review went up last night. Make sure you go and check that out. With that out of the way, let's get to Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, just email us anytime at collidervideo@gmail.com. Ashley, what is in the mailbag today?
Chan Harris writes, you guys are always awesome, and I thank you for entertaining this question. You guys reported that Daniel Craig is still in the running to reprise the role of 007 if he wants it. Personally, I'd prefer if he went out on a better note than Spectre. You guys also mentioned some hopeful successors like Idris Elba, Tom Hiddleston, and Benedict Cumberbatch. If Daniel Craig comes back for one more martini, who amongst the hopefuls do you think would make the best Bond villain?
I like this question. Normally what we get asked is, okay, if Daniel Craig doesn't come back, who's the next Bond?
Right.
Of those potential new Bonds, who would make a good villain? Idris Elba plays a great villain when he plays villain. Have we seen Benedict play a straight up villain?
Star Trek too.
Yeah, Star
Oh
Trek.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. He was not Khan. And then Tom. You know what? I'm gonna go with Tom Hiddleston, simply because of that one. I can't remember. Was it a Lexus commercial where he said, "Why do guys with British accents make the best villains?" And I'm gonna go with that. So for me, a guy out of that group of people, out of that group of potential new Bonds, who would I love to see as a Bond villain? I'm going with Tom Hiddleston. What do you think, Mark?
I'm going to go Hiddleston as well because he does that little Marvel fellow that people seem to like that has fun with being a bad guy. And that's what you want as a Bond villain. You don't want them to just be straight up evil. You want them to enjoy it. When they're petting a cat, you want to see them smile. And enjoy. I can see Benedict and Idris doing that fantastically. Hiddleston seems like the right choice for me. But here's how my mind works, because I know so many of you care, is that I was thinking about that Lexus commercial too, where Hiddleston, then you also have Mark Strong in that commercial.
I was just thinking that.
Here's how the neurons are firing, Sean, is that you take Mark Strong, and I'm like, oh, he'd be a good Bond villain. Then I thought, what movies Mark Strong in been recently? Oh yeah, he was in that Brothers Grimsby one with Sacha Baron Cohen. Sacha Baron Cohen is the guy I want to see be a Bond villain. He's got the right outlandish sense of humor, but he can also be really grounded and dramatic when he needs to be. That's my dude for a new Bond villain.
You know what? Don't laugh at this. As much of a train wreck as the most recent Alice in Wonderland movie was, which I actually thought was a better movie than the first Alice in Wonderland movie, Sacha Baron Cohen was the most watchable part of that film. He was absolutely the most watchable part of that film. Anyway, out of this group of potential Bonds, who do you see as a new villain?
Oh, well, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking about what actor would encompass some of the old villains that you can bring in a new twist. And I realized all these Daniel Craig films, all their villains are riffs on old. I mean, you have the former agent, which was in Skyfall, who was kind of a riff on Jaws also. So I mean, it's really tough. I want to see Idris Elba because Idris Elba.
Would be good.
You ever see Luther on BBC?
Oh, yeah.
I have so many requests to be like, you need to see Luther. People don't know. I've seen Luther. I just haven't reviewed it because I don't review everything I experience. I probably should review it, but he would be like he would be like a Sherlock Holmes, although we have Benedict Cumberbatch in this list. I've seen so much Cumberbatch that I don't want to get sick of the dude. I love the dude to death, but he can't be in everything. Idris Elba, I want to see go up against Bond. I think that would be really cool, him being a former hopeful of Bond. Now he's a villain of Bond. I think this, so Idris Elba for sure.
Kenny.
If I have to choose from this list, I'm going with Benedict Cumberbatch because I'm tired of every woman I try to date saying I fall short of his standards. I want to see him lose. I'd like to see him lose. But I like to go outside the bucket. By the way, are you pitching Austin Powers 4? Are you sure you got the right movie?
I'd see that movie too.
I'd like to go with something like Kate Blanchett. Take on Daniel Craig and kind of this weird
Oh,
thing.
my mind too.
Yeah, I
Great
like some of that.
mind.
But if I have to go with this, I want
like that.
Cumberbatch to lose.
All right, what's next?
Rocky Drago writes, greetings Collider crew, and looking ahead to the films coming in 2017, I noticed on February 10th we have a major weekend at the box office with 50 Shades Darker versus John Wick 2 versus Lego Batman movie. How do you think each film is going to do opening weekend? Thanks and bring on the filthy.
I gotta tell you, this is one hell of a fascinating weekend from a box office perspective. Look, do I think 50 Shades Darker is going to do that 70+ million that the first 50 Shades did? No, I don't. but you'd be a fool not to expect it to do pretty good business. It's going to do pretty good business. That Lego Batman movie is going to do business. John Wick 2 is going to do much better business than the first John Wick did, now that everybody knows how magnificent the John Wick universe is. Look, okay, let's just call it right now. John Wick will not win the weekend. It won't. It will not win the weekend. But will it be 50 Shades or Lego Batman? I'm going to lean Lego Batman, but here's the thing. They're all going to do well. I think all the studios are going to come out of this weekend being very happy and very satisfied. It's a tremendously intriguing weekend. I'm going to say that Lego Batman will come out box office-wise on top. Jeremy, how do you see it?
I'm going with math on this one. I think Lego Batman will because more people can watch Lego Batman. The other two films are rated R, which alienates a lot of people. Never underestimate the power of a kids movie. And like you were saying earlier, how Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, we'll really see what the sequel does to show how people love the first one. The first Lego movie did really well. I feel like Lego Batman springboarding off of that has the potential to do better, it being Batman and a Lego movie. So I'm going to go ahead and say Lego Batman will win that weekend, although I think 50 Shades Darker is going to rake in a lot of dough.
What do you think, Kenny?
There's a lot of, it's some morality at play here. Do you support sex? Do you support violence? Or are you a shut-in who plays with your toys at 40 in your room? Lego Batman is absolutely going to win. I don't even think it's going to be close because of the widespread appeal. But 50 Shades Darker is going to do money. Wick 2 is going to do money. But it's an interesting weekend. Again, there's a lot of choices at the Megaplex.
So here's what I'm thinking, Mark. I still think that 50 Shades can pull in 50 million on an opening weekend. I think it can pull in 50 million. So how much do you think Lego can pull in?
I think Lego can pull in 60 to 70 million opening weekend, and I think 50 Shades Darker can pull in 75 million opening weekend.
Really?
Look, I don't know who's going to be the Super Bowl yet, but this might be the best clash between powers we have in February. I agree with you guys. John Wick 2 is not going to win the weekend, but what John Wick 2 is going to do is it's going to take away some business from Lego Batman. I agree with you, Jeremy. That's a kid's movie. There's a lot of adults that are going to be torn between do I go see the beloved John Wick or do I go see the beloved Lego Batman movie, whereas there's going to be no question amongst a large demographic of people which movie you're driving to the theater to see, and that's going to be 50 Shades of Darker. Maybe you go and you really care about it. Maybe you just want to go to have a laugh. You just want to see some sex. You're going to have 50 Shades Darker be the victor.
All right. Let me ask the girl. I got to go to the girls in this. So Ashley, that weekend comes. You've got 50 Shades, you got John Wick, and you got Lego Batman. Which one are you going to go see first?
Well, I was thinking about which one would win at the box office, and because of the date, it's February 10th, I can see a lot of girls being like,
yes,
babe, I want to celebrate Valentine's Day this week. And he's like, okay, babe. So he takes his girlfriend to go see 50 Shades Darker. I personally want to see the Lego Batman movie, but I can see 50 Shades Darker coming out on top.
Okay, Wendy, which one are you dragging Dustin to go see?
I don't have to drag him anywhere because we're going to go see John Wick 2 together. But I think I'm going to totally agree with Mova here. I think a lot of the girlfriends are going to say, let's go see 50 Shades or have like a girls' night and all go see this movie together. And I think, have a sinking feeling that 50 Shades is going to be #1 in the box office.
Wow.
This is
Jeremy?
the kind of thing we need to make an office bet. You know, this is the kind of weekend that bets are made out of. I love making bets on some box office numbers.
I'm taking 50 Shades Darker, and I'm still taking Beauty and the Beast to make $200 million the next month in March.
You know, if it hits that, you're going to look like a genius.
Yeah, for sure.
The idiot savant. All right, let's go to our Twitter questions. I said we're going to save a little time. Wendy, what have you picked out of Twitter this week?
Joshua Hurlbert wrote, I noticed the video quality jumped with the recent improvements, but what other improvements did you make 2 weeks ago?
Well, they brought on Jeremy Jahns, which was no small feat, I'll tell you that. How you doing? I love you.
I mean, seriously, the additions of Jeremy Jahns and Kenny Napzok have been huge things around here.
I think giving them alcohol before the show has been the biggest
that's
improvement.
been very, very big.
Some of my best content.
I mean, we increased, we upgraded a lot of the stuff around here. A lot of the stuff will be for things you don't know about yet. And things that are coming. You'll really see the payoff of the upgrades coming soon. Am I forgetting something?
No, but with that little maneuver you just did, John Campea for the next Bond villain.
I know. Mark made a Skeksis sound over there.
That's Yoda watching 50 Shades Darker.
I just came from Happy Head. By the way...
It was a really good massage. It was a really good massage.
You talk trash about my
you're
alcohol.
making it
That is
worse.
not water in that glass. I can tell you that much.
All right, what else do we got?
Desana Arsad wrote, now that the movie is out, do you see Fantastic Beasts going forward with the 5-movie plan?
Again, I think it's really going to depend on how the second one does. I think coming out at $75 million, I think that is in the range that they should have expected, so they should be happy. What's really going to be telling is, did the Potter fans get on board with it? And we're not really going to know the answer to that until the next one. So as of right now, I think they're probably thinking, stay on course, this is the plan. Do you guys see it any different?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I enjoyed the movie like you, but I don't see myself going to the movie just on a Friday because I'm bored and going, oh, I want to see Fantastic Beasts, so I want to see if it has replay value among the people who really enjoyed it. So, I mean, that's also another telling thing, but I agree, that second weekend's going to be everything. What a setback that would be for Warner Brothers to be like, it's a trilogy now. It wasn't going to be a trilogy. No, it was the plan from the beginning to make it a trilogy. Where'd you hear 5 movies? That was weird.
Yeah, it's going to be 5. They're going to have a gun to David Yates' head, apparently, because even all of the announcements of him doing the movies, he's like, I mean, it's pretty long. I mean, I guess going to do it. Yeah, it's going to happen. I just hope, if it starts shifting to some of the other characters, because I can't do 5 movies of Newt Scamander going, I can't look at you in the eyes while I'm searching for the beast. I can't do that. I can't do that. What's wrong with him? Have a personality.
That guy did have horrid eye contact.
He's a weirdo that walks around with animals in a briefcase. You wouldn't just be like normal
make a
on the
whole
street?
movie based around. I can't look at. Just please put it.
It's funny because that's exactly the way you look when you're on your first dates. It's very awkward.
That's why I identify so much negative stuff with the movie.
Yeah, that's why Kenny hasn't been on 5 dates, and I don't think this should be 5 movies. Like, I don't understand why we're going to go ahead and set ourselves up for failure here. Like what Jeremy said, is that now we have to temper expectations if, in fact, the second release doesn't do as well. I'm telling you, man, I'm looking at the next couple weekends of what this movie does. Does it do repeat business? Does it continue to get more people in droves? And if not, they might have to be like, okay, let's make another movie. I think David Yates does the second one and then steps off. Maybe if it goes 5 movies, he comes back for the 5th movie. I don't see him doing all 5.
I love the fact that this question is will stay tuned for next week's movie talk on Monday so we can talk about all of our thoughts from this week, springboarding off of that.
It's the Marvel model.
Right.
It's like, if you
It's a
like this
sequel.
one, just come back in 6 months when SpiderMan's coming out.
All right, what's next?
Joseph Meldrum writes, why do people end up not liking entire genres? Not every movie in a particular genre is going to be bad.
Well, I mean, I think for the most part, some people just find that in general, I don't like this genre. Like, I think all of us have genres that wouldn't be our first go-to, but there are exceptions to that, right? So, I mean, some people don't like period pieces, but I know people who don't like period pieces, but they have 1 or 2 movies within that genre that they really, really like. And I think if you really press most people on it, they won't. I don't think anybody has a hard and fast 100% rule. I don't like sci-fi films. I'm sure if you press them, you'll probably find 1 or 2. But look, it's like all of us are unique. We're delicate snowflakes. We all have our preferences, and some things lean towards our preferences, and some things don't. How would you answer that, Mark?
Look, there's franchises, or there's genres, I should say, that I get less excited to go see. And I think that's where this comes from, is that if you hear musicals, I'm not going to be like, what's the movie? Well, you have to sell me on that a little bit more. I'm seeing La La Land today, and I'm not that excited about it. I'm sorry. I hear it's great. I hear it's going to win every Academy Award it's nominated for, but I am not excited to run into the theater and have a song in my heart. I might leave the theater skipping and whistling a tune. I can't whistle, but I'll try my best. I just don't see myself getting jacked to go see a musical.
What do you think, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, it is a different strokes, different folks kind of thing. Everyone has their preference. Everyone kind of, like you guys said, gravitates towards one thing or another. I don't think any one person, if they're being honest with themselves, is completely shut off to something. I know people are like, I don't like sci-fi. It's like, well, you like that movie, and they're like, well, it was good sci-fi. It's like, I like sci-fi. What I mean by that is I like good sci-fi by implication, So, I mean, emulating everything you guys said, it is just a personal preference. People look forward to this genre, to that, but I don't think anyone, if they're being honest, is completely closed off to a particular genre.
Kenny?
I am. I'm closed off to movies that are fun and happy and show that love wins in the end. But I'm like famously in the schmoes world, like I don't like animated movies, but I like The Incredibles. I think, John, you speak to the truth. At the end of the day, we might take hard lines, but there's always 1 or 2 things that can sneak in. Musicals, I like Yentl. Papa, can you hear me? I'm good with it.
All right, let's take 2 more.
Okay, Adria M. Soto writes, do you guys shop on Black Friday or do you do your holiday shopping online?
Look, this is still one of these weird American things to me. Black Friday has become a thing. You see, the big shopping day, what I have learned in the United States is Black Friday, which is really odd to me because in Canada, that is not the case. In Canada, which makes much more sense, the big shopping day is Boxing Day. That is December 26th, the day after Christmas, when everybody's done their shopping. That's when everything goes on crazy sales. Those are the days like me and my dad would get up and go get in line at 5 o'clock in the morning to get these a refrigerator for $18. Great, yay! I mean, so I have never really gotten into the whole thing of Black Friday. Like, it's funny, Anne and her brother and Ray and stuff like that, they will still go on Black Friday and do all night shopping things, stand in line at midnight, all that kind of crap. But to me, it's still Boxing Day is the shopping. Do you do Black Friday shopping?
Well, as someone who listens to the Strange Brew 12 Days of Christmas every year on repeat, I knew what Boxing Day was, so I had you right there. I worked retail management. I cannot, in good conscience, actually buy anything on Black Friday because I don't want to contribute to darkening the souls of the good people of the world. However, and I told you this the other day, you looked at me like I was out of my fucking mind. I will go to the mall when it's packed just to go to the mall because the more people who are in a room, the more it jacks me up and the more it energizes me. It's weird. I'm like the Shang Tsung of movie talk. And as now you know of the weird American things, I am the weirdest American you know.
By the way, that wasn't me that was looking at you like you were nuts. That was Pamela.
Yeah, but you both did.
Yes,
we
did.
You were like, no, you actually are contributing to the worst.
And who is Pamela? You'll find out soon.
Oh, man, Bond villain extraordinaire right here. Oh, my God.
Kenny.
Ken, you patted me on the shoulder, and I got the bet. I got the people.
I know
I got your
Boxing
back.
Day because that's the day the Beatles released Magical Mystery Tour to a flop, black and white. What are you doing, BBC? No, I cannot morally approve of this. As you all know, and some of you out there might know, I had a big career switch, and for 17 years, Black Friday was the bane of my existence. My last Black Friday, I worked 31 straight hours, slept on the floor of my office. It brings out the worst in people. I agree with you, John. It is this manufactured holiday. I have told friends, if you shop on Black Friday, you're not going to hear from me for about a week because of what it did to my life and the horrible things. I've seen a group of people, about 50 people, rip down metal glass doors to get into a mall. I've seen it personally and was nearly trampled by it. So no, I am preaching. Now I am preaching. Me and Jeremy want you to stay home with your family on Black Friday and try the thing called the internet, which you're going to get things sent directly to your home.
That's exactly what the Ellis family always did. Every Thanksgiving, here's the rundown, is that we wake up Thanksgiving morning, we shake off the hangover, we play a very competitive game of touch football where somebody ends up going to the hospital. Then we have our turkey dinner. We enjoy Thursday night relaxing. Friday is the day of the Ellis family musical hootenanny. Everybody in my family is musically talented except for this guy, so I host the event. We usually get like 30 or 40 people, friends, family, showing up to watch said Ellis family hootenanny, and it's a lot of fun. You know the one thing we don't do? Leave the house on Friday. We're having too much fun as a community of people, and then we wake up on Cyber Monday, and that's when we do all the shoppings. There's some good sales online.
You know what's funny? This is a real story, and this is what Black Friday does to the people who work it. I was working a retail management job. There's something sold out early, and this person who wandered in at noon was like, well, it says in the paper you got it. And I literally looked at this person and snapped. I was like, I don't have Santa's magic bag back there with an unlimited supply. I don't know what to say. And in my head, I was like, please get me fired. Let's just, all you got to do is complain and I'll be out of here. And they didn't do it. And just that's what it does to you. You hope that this is the Black Friday you get fired because you snap on somebody, and it never happens.
Was that customer played by either Arnold Schwarzenegger and or Sinbad?
Yes, it was Sinbad. He actually wandered into my store in Seattle. What can I say?
You know that story you just told about the musical hootenanny?
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, sadly, all of my great uncles have passed away now. But back in the day when I was younger, on Christmas, the whole Italian Campea clan would get together. He was huge. But my grandfather Giovanni, my dad Pasquale, and my grandfather's brothers Carlo Vincenzo, Romolo Segallo, they would all get together and they would all pull out the accordions. And there would be a big accordion jam session.
First of all, I didn't know your family was the cast of Analyze This. Wow. What's going on there?
Yeah, that's it. All right, last question of the day.
I want to know, how old were you when you got a refrigerator for $18?
I might not be remembering that correctly.
All right, maybe it was 118. All right, last one comes from Christopher Corcoran, who writes, could we see Mr. Freeze at some point in the DCEU? I think it's time to do him justice on the big screen.
I think I think they're going to be very, very cautious because of the Arnold Schwarzenegger stink that we got with the. They're going to be really, really careful with that because the moment they announce Mr. Freeze, you know the memes of, you know, put him on ice. Will come, like everybody will jump all over that. They're going to be really cautious. Eventually, yes, but I don't anticipate it'll be anytime soon. What do you guys think?
I'd rather them do a better take on Poison Ivy or something like that. You're
Yeah.
right. There's no one in this generation who's going to separate those until, I guess, I get the idea of, hey, they do it right. I still think you're going to get all those memes. It's nah.
Now, a lot of people right now are screaming at their computer monitors. That's not fair. You're right. It's not
Yeah, you're
fair.
right.
But it is the way it is. I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think?
I think the way you get around that is you cast Patrick Stewart as Mr. Freeze, which everybody in my high school wanted to be Mr. Freeze, or junior high, or whenever I was in school. If you do that, the people will be like, oh, that's the Mr. Freeze I wanted. At least people our age. Yeah, there will still be the memes, but I think the proof can be in the pudding. If you do Mr. Freeze, you can do him justice. You do him right. You get someone with depth. And because he's a really tragic story. Like, he really is.
Oh, you just did it. You just did it. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is Mr. Freeze. We found our answer.
I'm out. Later. Bye.
Nope.
And how
Cue
dare
the
you
Bruce
suggest that
Hornsby,
Arnie
because
is the
that's
thief?
just the way it is. You're not getting another Mr. Freeze anytime soon. I think that he is in the chamber just below Bucky is in Wakanda right now. He is going to be on ice for a long time. Not because the source material isn't good, because Arnold Schwarzenegger did. I mean, he was worse in that movie than Bat Nipples, and that's pretty tough to beat.
I will argue this. On Gotham, they had Mr. Freeze.
Didn't do a bad job with
And
him.
he was done well enough to at least get people intrigued and show them that it can be done well.
It can be,
Yeah.
but that's a big mountain to overcome.
Oh,
That
yeah,
whole-
I
the
agree.
shadow of Schwarzenegger still
Yeah.
looms large. All right, guys, that'll do it for us for This Is Tell Me Movie Talk. Thanks so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, the most important part of the show is what you have to say. Jump into the comments section, leave your thoughts, like this video, share it around on Twitter and Facebook and wherever else you do your social medializing. I made up a word right there.
I like
Sitting
that.
over there, we got Mr. Kenny Napzok. Kenny, where can people find you
You
online?
can find me on all social media platforms at Cat Napzok, and hopefully appearing at the Mark Ellis Family Hootenanny this Friday. I've
got a
a
plus
song.
one.
I've got a Yentl reboot remix worked up. I'm gonna break that. Nope. Okay.
Mr. Jeremy Jahns.
You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at Jeremy Jahns, Facebook at Real Jeremy Jahns, and you can find Mark and I at Happy Head this weekend. That place is like, I got so many plugs on that show, and no one who knew?
Right over here, Mark Ellis.
I recommend the Pacific Beach location of Happy Head. You guys can find me online at Mark Ellis Live. Next week, and I got some tour dates coming up, I will be in St. Louis, Atlanta, and Nashville. Get tickets at markellislive.com.
Over there, of course, Miss Ashley Mova.
Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat at Ashley Mova. Happy Monday, guys.
And right beside her, Wendy Lee.
You can find me on YouTube at the Movie Couple channel and on social media at Wendy Lee Zaney.
And you guys can simply follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at John Campea. That'll do it for us, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.
Hey guys, if you like this video, click the thumbs up button. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with everything we've got going on here at Collider.